Hello and welcome to this week's F1 Kids podcast with me, your host Daniel, and my dad Phil.
Hola.
Today's podcast is a review of the Spanish Grand Prix, as you can tell by Spanish language.
Yep. So Spanish Grand Prix in Catalonia. So technically the Catalan Grand Prix, but let's not split hairs over that one.
First Grand Prix with crowd this season.
It certainly was. About 1,000 people, I think I heard in the stands. Not literally heard them, but I heard someone say there was 1,000 people in the stands. So that was great to see, wasn't it?
Yep. Quick word on qualifying. Actually, quite big words on qualifying.
Yeah.
So Hamilton, 100th pole. What a milestone!
Amazing milestone. So he's got 32, I think, poles more than anybody else now.
Wow.
Which is exceptional because 32 poles alone is a lot of pole positions. So great stuff.
And only 300ths in it for pole between Verstappen and Hamilton.
So I was just 300ths of a second away from getting a prediction win in qualifying. But we'll talk about the predictions later on.
Yep.
So we had the two main guys on the front row of the grid, didn't we?
Yep. So that kind of brings me on to my first big story today. Hamilton versus Verstappen on the first couple of corners.
Yep. So talk us through it. What happened?
I think Verstappen's getting better starts at the moment. So he managed to overtake Hamilton on the first corner. It looked like there was contact, but there wasn't.
It was very close though, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hamilton, I think, did the right thing to back off a bit.
He absolutely had to back off a little bit, didn't he? And kind of steer away from Max Verstappen to avoid that contact.
And I think if it was the other way around, Verstappen would have just carried on, driving straight into Hamilton.
So you don't think he would have given up the spot quite as easily?
He's like,
so why do you think Lewis did that?
Maybe because of strategy, because you don't win a race on the first corner.
That is true. To finish first you must finish, is the saying.
Because that could have been a crash.
Yeah, I mean, I imagined that if it was Lewis Hamilton from about 2010, 2009, he probably wouldn't have made that correction.
No.
So maybe this is one of those times where you can see that Lewis is kind of really thinking, rather than just being a really quick driver, he's a champion, isn't he? A true champion who understands what he has to do to get to the finish and get as many points as possible. Yeah,
so now that brings me on to my second story, about the same two drivers, the Mercedes strategy. Now, masterclass from Mercedes. Well, at first, I didn't think it was a masterclass because...
so we thought they'd messed up the strategy at first. So what happened there?
So Verstappen pitted, had a terrible pit stop by Red Bull standards, almost 5 seconds.
Yeah, 4.3 was it? Or 4.8 was it?
So that basically gave Hamilton the lead, although he didn't pit. So Mercedes kept him out, what looked like just ruining his race, because he was losing so much time. And when he did pit, he was like 5-6 seconds behind.
Kept him out for 5 more laps, I think it was. That's what I've written here. But 4 or 5 laps difference. So you're absolutely right. If they'd pitted him at the end of that first lap, he might have just been able to get out.
Yeah.
But then what happened? So he came out of the pits 5 or 6 roughly seconds behind, and that was on lap 29.
So as Hamilton caught up, they kind of figured out that Verstappen wasn't doing well on his tyres. So Hamilton pitted again. I think Mercedes were trying to recreate Hungary in 2019, making him pit, making him just absolutely pin it and overtake Verstappen at the end of the race.
You mentioned Hungary 2019 before the commentators did, actually. So he did a really short stint of only 14 laps, whereas they were expecting to potentially go to the end. So he pitted on lap 43 onto another set of mediums. So at that point, he was like 23 seconds behind. Yeah.
Now, one downside of this was he was behind Bottas.
Of course, he came out in third, yeah.
Even though he was 2 seconds a lap quicker, and Mercedes told Bottas to get out the way, Hamilton still had to do a racing overtake on Bottas, which kind of means that Bottas doesn't like team orders.
Yeah, and I think he's gone on record saying that as well, that he won't move over for anybody. So I wonder if he'll have I wonder if the team would have had a stern talking to him about it. But maybe they kind of let it go because Lewis won the race anyway in the end. So
eventually Hamilton did overtake Verstappen closing into the end of the race.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what was interesting. They were telling Verstappen on the radio, weren't they, that he's going to catch you at the end on the last lap.
Yeah.
Which was nonsense because he caught him
7 laps before the end.
Was it 7? Yeah.
Or 8 laps before the end, maybe.
Yeah.
So the data was not right.
Well, Lewis was just really on it, wasn't he, this weekend? And he got past quite easily in the end, didn't he?
I think Hamilton was getting worried about his tyres. He was saying that I might not have any tyres to the end. And probably my favourite radio message of the season was Toto Wolff saying Verstappen will have less than any tyres left.
I'm not sure if it was Toto, but someone said it.
Yeah,
don't worry, he'll have less. Yeah. Yeah.
And then completely different on my third story was the midfield battle at the end of the race. It was crazy.
It was so close, wasn't it? Especially given that it's a circuit we don't see much overtaking. I guess people were struggling with tyres, weren't they? They must have been, to have that differential in speed.
So there were 5 major contenders for 10th place, and that was Alonso, Russell, Stroll, Raikkonen and Gasly.
Yep.
So Gasly being in the last at the start of that, he managed to grab the point at the end. There was loads of overtaking. Sadly, Russell did float back to the end of the order.
Yeah, so, but then we had Stroll overtook Alonso twice, didn't he? But then one of them...
First, I think he had to give it back because he didn't go round the bollard.
Exactly, yeah. And then there was an investigation for that, but I don't remember seeing whether he'd been
I think it was just no investigation necessary.
Okay, good.
Because Alonso did drop down the order because he pitted.
So Alonso was in 10th at that point, and that was like lap 60 or something.
Yeah,
and then he ended
17th.
up 17th, and then Russell went from 11th.
14th.
Right.
Raikkonen 12th, made up a place, and Stroll 11th.
So Stroll got up into 10th, but then got overtaken by Gasly on the main straight. Stroll did a bit of a weave as well in front of Gasly. That was a little bit dangerous, but...
Gasly got a penalty for trying to break the toe, I've just remembered.
Did he?
Yeah, because he was moving around too much.
In this race?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
He got a penalty?
Yep.
But it wasn't for that?
I thought it was.
His penalty, you'll remember now, because I'll tell you. But I'd forgotten about it. It was because he was out of position on the starting grid.
Oh, yeah, of course. He was like so
line.
much further forward. Sorry, I thought it was because he was... no. So, moving on to the finishing line now.
I like it. You want to move on really quickly.
Glossing over that. So, Hamilton won. Verstappen came second, eventually getting that fastest lap as he pitted again. Then Bottas coming third, Leclerc coming fourth, Perez coming fifth.
So Perez, I mean, again, he is underperforming really so far, isn't he? They need him to be much closer to Bottas and Verstappen, don't they?
Sixth was Ricciardo. I think that's the first time he's beaten Norris in a race.
Yeah, that was his best race of the year by a long shot.
Then Sainz, Norris, Ocon and Gasly getting that 1 point.
Okay, so that's your top 10. So how's the top 10 of the championship looking now?
Maybe I should do my zeros and heroes first quickly.
Oh, okay, sure.
So my hero was Hamilton for catching up Verstappen at the end of the race.
Yep.
And hero team, obviously Mercedes, for that great strategy. And then...
Yep. How about a minor hero shout out for Ricciardo, though, for... Maybe doesn't quite warrant being a hero, but he did well. He did well finally to get a good finish up in 6th.
Now my zero was actually Norris for not really driving that well, not as good as he normally is, 8th place.
Yeah, well the big difference here with this race, it's not just the position so much, but he was actually 33 seconds behind Ricciardo, which is that's unlike Lando, isn't it? Unlike Lando.
Now my zero team was Aston Martin, no points this race.
Yeah, I mean they're just not really delivering at all, are they?
No.
This year.
Not on many points at all.
I can see why you chose them for this race.
Yeah.
It was a struggle to choose any one team as being
really bad.
Zero, really, because the top 10 had quite a number of different teams in it. But, yeah.
So, now the championship.
Okay, now we can do the championship. Yep. That was my mistake. Sorry.
Hamilton on 90 points in the lead.
94 points.
94, sorry. Verstappen on 80. In second now by a difference of 14 points. Bottas has now overtaken Norris on 47 points, who's now on 40. Norris is on 41 points, not getting many points that race. Then Leclerc's on 40, only 1 point behind Norris. Perez is on 32, Ricciardo's on 24, Sainz is on 20, Ocon's on 10, Gasly's on 8. Perez really behind the main drivers.
Yeah. Static in the in 6th in the championship. In fact, the only changes there in the championship table and position was Bottas and Norris.
Yeah.
Swapping round.
So Mercedes at 141 points. Red Bull on 112. McLaren still third with 65. Ferrari 60, catching up. Alpha Tauri.
No, Alpine.
Alpine on 15 points. Alpha Tauri are on 10 points. Aston Martin on 5 points. And Alfa Romeo, Williams and Haas all on 0 points.
God, Aston Martin only on 5 points.
I thought
races.
Williams could have had a point this race, but
I know, we got a bit
Russell's
excited,
car
didn't we,
isn't good enough,
when Russell
really.
was up in 11th.
But
Shame.
Yeah. Our predictions. I'm incredibly happy about predictions.
Do we have to talk about predictions?
So you were incredibly wrong, obviously, on...
Obviously, I was wrong.
Verstappen didn't get pole.
300ths of a second. It's
Hamilton
not incredibly wrong, is it? It's
Hamilton did get pole.
Yeah.
Now, you predicted Hamilton for the race, so did I. So I get 2 points, you get 1.
I would just like to point out at this stage that you choose Hamilton almost every race. And on the balance of probability, then you're going to
almost
do better
certain.
than me. So yeah, you've done Hamilton there. You've done it 3 times now out of 4. I'm just trying to be different.
Actually, I'm not going to go Hamilton this race.
So
I know in Monaco, Red Bull have always been very fast.
So we're in Monaco in 2... Well, we're not in Monaco in 2 weeks' time.
No.
The Formula 1 circus is in Monaco in 2 weeks' time. So remember, there wasn't a race in Monaco last year. 2 years ago, we had Hamilton winning and Bottas second, I believe it was.
You predict first. I think I'll base mine off yours, as usual.
That's... I don't know, is that cheating?
No, of course it's not cheating.
Kind of feels like cheating to me.
Well, you predict, though.
Okay, well, I'm going to say Verstappen for pole
Mm-hmm.
and Verstappen to win.
I'm going to go Verstappen for pole, as of course Red Bull are extremely fast on Monaco, usually. And I think it might be a repeat of 2016, as because Verstappen's pit stop wasn't very good.
2016?
I think, yeah, when Ricciardo came into the pits and no one was there.
Oh, you mean, so you just said
Disaster.
Verstappen's pit stop, you meant Red Bull pit stop.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, so you think who's going to win then? You've not actually said yet.
Maybe Hamilton.
Okay.
What a surprise.
So for a change, you're choosing Hamilton to win the race.
And Verstappen to get pole. I'm almost certain that's going to be how it's going to finish.
So at best, I can only gain 1 point on you.
Yep.
That doesn't seem fair. Maybe we should do our predictions in a sealed envelope from now on. I think that would be much fairer. What do you think?
That can be good.
Yeah. Well, so, for me.
So I don't know what your predictions are.
Yeah, well, anyway, for this race it's Verstappen, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. Although obviously I'd prefer Hamilton to win. I think Verstappen's going to win.
Well, I think that's going to bring us to the end of our podcast today.
Yep.
So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and put any questions on Twitter or via the comments on YouTube. So it's bye from me.
And it's adios from me.